The council
portal is
chamber on
destabilizing. We must
Zerath
act.
Prime
What do you
Royal
need me to
Citadel
do?
was silent,
Follow me.
save for the
and stay
hum
close.
of hovering surveillance drones that floated like mechanical specters over the polished obsidian floor. The chamber was cavernous, its walls adorned with banners depicting past rulers of the Zerathian Empire, each more intimidating than the last. But no mural, no statue, and no record of victories could prepare a visitor for the presence of the current monarch, Queen Lysara. I had never seen a ruler like her. She stood at the far end of the chamber, her regal posture unmoved by the tension that saturated the room. Her eyes, iridescent as liquid starlight, scanned each of us, daring any thought of deception to exist. Every diplomat, general, and ambassador had approached her with meticulous politeness. But I was different. I wasn't a diplomat. I wasn't a general. I was a technician, an engineer who had spent my life among machines and circuitry, not politics. And yet, that day, I found myself standing in the center of the chamber, facing the queen herself, my pulse hammering against my ribcage like a war drum. "You're late," Lysara said, her voice smooth, yet commanding. There was no anger, just a cold precision that pierced straight to the truth. "And you brought your device?" I nodded, the small, handheld interface glowing faintly in my palm. It wasn't a weapon, it was a neural scanner, capable of detecting and interpreting mental activity. Classified, illegal, dangerous, but necessary. For I had discovered something during my time on Zerath Prime. The Queen wasn't just intelligent. She was listening. Always. Somehow, through channels unseen, she could perceive thoughts that were not spoken, intentions that were not revealed. And I had a dangerous plan. To reach her, to claim her, to stake my presence in her mind before she could detect me. "You know the rules," a councilman murmured behind me. His voice trembled, as though he feared even speaking aloud. "Do not provoke her. Do not make claims that cannot be defended." I ignored him. All my life, I had lived in the shadows of machines. Logic was my companion, calculation my shield. But now, facing Lysara, I realized that only boldness would save me. "I claim her," I said. My voice echoed unnaturally in the chamber. "The Queen is mine." The words left my mouth before I could hesitate. Every eye turned toward me, stunned into silence. And then, the moment that I had feared and desired simultaneously, the Queen's gaze fixed on me. It was more than observation, it was connection. She tilted her head slightly, curiosity playing over her features. "Yours?" she asked. Her voice was soft, but it carried a weight that seemed to make the walls tremble. "Yes," I said, stepping forward. Not as a subject or servant. Not as a rival. As someone who recognizes what you are and what you could be if you allowed it. "I claim you because you have seen everything in me, and yet I see you fully, without fear." A ripple passed through the assembly. I saw generals clench fists, diplomats gasp, and advisors whisper frantic warnings to one another. None of it mattered. I had spoken the truth of my intentions, the only language the Queen might recognize. For a long moment, there was silence. Then, unexpectedly, Lysara smiled. Not a conventional smile, too regal, too controlled, but a subtle lift of her lips that suggested amusement, surprise, and perhaps approval. "You are reckless," she said. "Or insane." I shrugged. "Perhaps both. But I've learned that the most dangerous thing in the universe is not power. It's the courage to speak your mind when power surrounds you." Lysara's gaze narrowed, and I could feel her piercing into my thoughts. It was like walking a tightrope across a chasm of awareness. My mind raced. Had I overstepped? Was this the end of my life, or the beginning of something far stranger? "Everyone here believes you are foolish," Lysara continued. Everyone believes you have no claim, no right, no position. She paused, scanning the chamber as if to gather the entire galaxy's judgment. And yet, you stand here, speaking a truth that defies the very foundation of my authority. I held my breath, and then, as though time slowed, I understood. She was testing me, not for logic, not for loyalty, but for intent. "Do you truly believe," she asked, "that you can possess what is mine to command?" "Yes," I said. "I believe that connection, understanding, and recognition, these are the only forms of possession that matter. The rest is noise, empty hierarchies, and fear. I claim you not because I can command you, but because I understand you, and I am not afraid." The drones hovering above us shifted slightly, their sensors detecting fluctuations in neural activity. I could feel my mind's pattern being observed, analyzed, catalogued. Yet I did not falter. Lasara's eyes glimmered with something unreadable. For the first time, she stepped forward. The chamber felt smaller, though nothing had changed. She was a presence that could bend space and time with her authority, yet she came closer, narrowing the distance between us. "You speak boldly," she said, "yet you forget one thing. I hear everything. All thoughts, intentions, fears. There is nothing hidden from me." I swallowed hard. I had counted on that. I had spent months preparing, ensuring that my mind was a labyrinth, that my intentions were crystal clear and unshakable. And now, I had to let the truth shine through. "I know," I said, "and that is why I speak. I do not hide my desire, nor do I hide my mind. I claim you because I have nothing to hide, because I trust that you, in your entirety, can hear and accept it. I am not asking. I am declaring. Because if you do not hear it, then nothing else matters." A murmur spread through the chamber. I could feel tension coiling like a serpent around every seated member of the council. Even the security androids remained motionless, as if waiting for a signal to intervene. But there was no signal coming, only her eyes, piercing into my mind. And then something shifted. Lasara's expression softened. She tilted her head again, this time in a gesture of curiosity rather than dominance. "You are unlike anyone I have encountered. You are not an infiltrator, not a spy, not a manipulator. You are honest, bold, unyielding, and strangely human in your audacity." I dared a step closer. "I am human," I said. "But in this room, surrounded by fear and obedience, it is a rarity to be understood. I claim you because I recognize what others cannot see, that beneath the authority, the power, the vigilance, there is someone who longs to be seen." For a moment, she said nothing. The chamber held its collective breath. And then she smiled fully, her iridescent eyes flickering with an intensity that felt like a supernova. "Very well," she said. "You have declared yourself, and I have heard everything." My heart pounded, and I asked, though part of me feared her answer. "And," she said, "you have intrigued me, not because you claim me, but because you claim yourself in the process. There is courage in truth and danger in honesty. Few can navigate the two and survive." She took my hand lightly, a gesture so foreign in its intimacy that it sent a shockwave through my consciousness. "You will remain here at the Citadel, not as a servant, not as a subject, but as someone who understands. Let us see if your claim is more than words, and if your mind can stand the scrutiny of mine." The council erupted in whispers, some in outrage, some in awe. But I barely noticed. My mind was focused entirely on her, on the weight of her presence and the uncharted path that lay ahead. Over the following weeks, life at the Citadel became a crucible. I was studied, challenged, and tested, not physically but mentally. The queen did not permit idle thought. She probed, she questioned, she unveiled hidden corners of my mind I hadn't known existed. And I, in turn, responded honestly, boldly, revealing truths and fears alike. One evening, after a particularly grueling session in the Chamber of Mind-Sharing, she approached me privately. "You claimed me," she said. "But claims are fleeting if unsupported. Do you know what it means to truly hold a claim over someone like me?" I nodded. It means accepting that power is not dominance, but recognition. That understanding is stronger than force. That trust is the rarest form of possession. She studied me, then laughed softly, a sound that echoed like wind through crystalline towers. "Perhaps you are the first to understand. Perhaps that is why I have not dismissed you, nor destroyed you." And then, unexpectedly, she kissed me. Not the formal, cautious peck of a monarch to a subject, but a deep, deliberate connection that sealed our mutual understanding. It was a declaration that transcended words, a claim acknowledged in silence. The council never fully understood it. Many whispered of scandal, of audacity, of the engineer who dared claim the queen. But none could deny the reality. Lysara had heard everything, and in hearing, she had chosen to acknowledge me. In that acknowledgement, I realized something profound. True connection does not rely on authority, fear, or ceremony. It relies on transparency, courage, and the willingness to declare one's truth, even when every protocol, every expectation, and every rule demands silence. Months passed. We worked side by side, exploring the Empire's technological marvels, addressing crises, and subtly reforming the rigid hierarchies that had ruled Zerath Prime for centuries. And through it all, the Queen and I shared a silent language of thoughts and intentions, a bond that no council, no law, no tradition could sever. I had claimed her, and she had heard everything. And in that hearing, we had both found something rarer than power, rarer than loyalty, rarer than any artifact or conquest. We had found understanding. The last time I saw the old banners of past rulers, I smiled. They were relics of fear and hierarchy, of claims made by sword and decree. But my claim had been different. I had claimed her not by force, not by law, not by tradition, but by truth. And she had heard it all. And in the quiet of the citadel at night, when the drones hummed softly above and the stars of the Zerath system shone like distant fire, I knew one thing with certainty. No empire, no council, no law could ever challenge the bond forged in honesty, courage, and the simple audacity of claiming what is meant to be understood. I had claimed the queen, and she had heard everything.